Once you start getting into Lean, it's not unusual to feel that everything turns upside down, and many people ask, where to start in this modern wonderland? How can I get into it? Like a magic potion? There are simple entry points that help us to get into this new world. But here is precisely the point we will present in this video. It is not enough what you do, you also have to think. You have to think in the Lean way. Like Mary Poppendieck once said, Lean is like a ballet. Everything flows and seems to be effortless. But actually, there is a lot of effort and preparation behind. You need to put in practice and exercise simple and tiny steps. Things that are not the amazing results that receive the applauses from the public, because the daily efforts behind the scenes are those that make a great performance possible. They are the key to succeed. And even more important, you also need to grasp the spirit, the soul. You need to think in different terms. Like former President Mujica once said,
Lo más difícil son los cambios acá. Pero si no cambia esto, no cambia nada. Esto es lo esencial.
Because, as it was said in the previous video about why Lean matters, Lean is a way of working, thinking, and living. If you want to have an idea of the challenge we are talking about, imagine for a second that you are an artisan, for example, a shoemaker during the 19th century. Your neighbor told you that a huge shoe factory has just been installed nearby, and you are interested in learning how it is possible that they can sell better shoes at a lower price. You want to learn and be competitive. After all, you have already learned and then improved your technique many times. Why not do it again? But just looking at the way the factory does each single step will not give you the big picture. Yes, similar to the story of the 6 blind men and an elephant. It is hard to grasp because the change is not about a specific technique, part, or way of working in the terms you can think of. It is a fundamental shift that involves economies of scale, specialization, division of labor, and so on. The key is in the whole system and not in any specific practice. You see the point. In the same way, as it happened from craftsmanship to mass production, Lean is a new paradigm shift. Therefore, simply implementing new processes or practices here and there will not make it happen. Remember, Lean is a whole system, and like a stone arc, it needs all pieces in order to be solid. Trying to put some parts on place without the rest will not work. And the keystone is your mindset. Because, again, the biggest challenge is not just to change our way of working, but to change our way of thinking.
And in particular, if you're a manager, you have to change the way you think and the way you believe, so you will change the way you act. Okay?
One more time, Lean is a way of working, because you can count on several tools to enhance the productivity of any organization. Lean is also a way of thinking because you think in different terms about the issues. You even need to review some assumptions, as if you were in an Ames room. Remember, the foundation of the whole system is the scientific method. Therefore, question everything. And it is finally a way of living, because Lean reconciles many dichotomies of the 20th century. It is based on important values that we often left apart from our daily work, alienating ourselves. Let's have a look at one very simple example to explain all this. Like mass production, Lean also has its roots in the automotive industry. From there, very especially after the machine that changed the world, it spread across the whole manufacturing industry, let it be cars, semiconductors, or any other product. All manufacturing know about Lean, just-in-time, pull systems, etc., and work in this way. Lean is the standard in this area, although emphasis has been put on practices. And like Jim Womack says,
but where we've really struggled is point number 3, which is the management system and the basic thinking.
This is why it is so important, the contribution from Tom and Mary Poppendieck. They broke these boundaries in 2003 with Lean software development, translating all Lean principles to a service industry, like software. And Eric Ries wrote the famous Lean Startup in 2011. It is an unavoidable reference for any entrepreneur. In all 3 cases, a very simple tool is well known, Kanban. When we say Kanban, the first thing that comes to the mind of many people who know it is a Kanban board. Very few think on the labels that Taiichi Ohno introduced in 1950 to identify the parts consumed and organize their replenishment. So anyone can take any element needed anytime, like from the supermarket gondola shelves, that indeed were the inspiration for Mr. Ohno. When a part was taken, the attached card was left on its place, so the previous step knows what to build next. It is a produce to order and the basis for a pull system. If instead of physical parts we are talking about intangible items, we can use a Kanban board, that are now very popular, to make them visible. And making things visible is a way of increasing transparency that is so crucial in Lean, as we will see. These visual cards are the origin of the name for this key concept, because this is exactly what Kanban means in Japanese. But to conclude this very quick overview of Kanban, let's mention one last detail. It is crucial for each column to have a work in progress limit. Work in progress is considered waste in Lean. Anything that you cannot have a customer willing to pay for is waste. If no end user wants it, as it is now, it has no real value yet. So, everything you see in a Kanban board is normally waste, and the goal is to see it flowing as fast as possible all the way down, because, as Tom Popendick says, we should stop starting and start finishing. Introducing roles, events, and concrete elements, Scrum is the most similar thing you will find if you are looking for processes or methods when talking about Lean. It's a time-boxed approach that has everything you need in order to know the rules of the game, and the whole guide is less than 20 pages. It's a brilliant work done by Jeff Sutherland and Ken Schwaber that was presented for the first time in 1995. However, being simple does not mean to be easy, because focusing only in the practices may leave us with a meaningless repetition of empty movements. You may be doing what seems to be the right thing in the wrong moment. What we need to understand beyond the practices and the processes is a real purpose behind. If there is only one thing you will remember about Scrum or Kanban, this could be the right one. The real purpose behind these tools is to build autonomous teams. They are the way to build self-regulated systems. Being released from management overhead and administrative bureaucracy, these teams become highly productive by focusing only on getting the job done. Transparency helps to make progress visible, and leadership to keep it in the right direction. Steve Jobs said it a long time ago.
The greatest people are self-managing. They don't need to be managed. Once they know what to do, they'll go figure out how to do it, and they don't need to be managed at all. What they need is a common vision, and that's what leadership is. What leadership is having a vision, being able to articulate that so the people around you can understand it.
The concept of autonomy in organizations is often still confused with chaos due to the attempts of putting just few pieces in place, and as it was said before, it doesn't work. Like in an autonomous car, autonomy can figure out the best way to reach a certain destination, but the goals need to be given, and this is why leadership, not management, is so important in Lean. If you put together leadership, transparency, and self-organization, you are pretty much on track in your Lean journey. Of course, all these concepts can't be too abstract, and this is why Kanban or Scrum are so important as entry points, like the magic potions we were talking in the beginning. And remember to keep the balance, because if you stay only on the concepts, this is just a motivational talk, but doing only the practices can be a nightmare. A mass production mindset sees an organization like a big machinery, where each piece has a precise function. If something is not working, some pieces need to be adjusted. In such environments, where individual evaluations are the basis, transparency tends to be hindered, because if I have an issue, I may be seen as the problem, so I will hide it. Autonomous teams instead take responsibility as a whole, and the only fault that is not tolerated is to hide any issue, especially mistakes, because the sooner we can deal with them, the cheaper and easier it will be. And they are our issues, not mine or yours. So, in a Lean context, we think differently about mistakes, but also about success. For instance, Another major point in a lean mindset is the shift in the focus of our attention when talking about performance. Individual and organizational performance tend to have this kind of graph, with many ups and downs. And this variation normally takes place within certain limits. We tend to focus on the upper part, because this is where big success happens. All-time records are broken, and our best moments to remember take place on this area. So, we want to repeat these achievements. However, we often see this progress being lost time after time, and this is rework, which of course is waste. To make real improvement instead, we need to turn upside down and focus on the bottom line. Imagine, for instance, that you are a green energy company. You have solar panels, wind turbines, and hydroelectric plants. These graphs represent your generation capacity, depending on how sunny, windy, and rainy the weather is. And these are your upper and lower boundaries. To which limit do you think you can commit your supply? Committing to the upper one, your maximum potential, will produce all these shortages. Instead, committing to your bottom line will be not only more realistic, but also avoids shortages and let any demand simply flow through the system without stressing nor breaking it. Furthermore, instead of focusing on ephemeral enhancements on the top, you will end up doing much better and solid progress by improving your bottom line. This will give you the ground for real gains and sustainable growth that are the basis for continuous improvement, or Kaizen, that is another Japanese term. By continuously enhancing the bottom line, lean organizations are not only more productive, but people are less stressed, happier, more committed, and motivated. Results flow, and organizations thrive. To sum up, we have seen that lean is not just a way of working, it is also a way of thinking, and like mass production did, it also affects our way of living, and you will start viewing it everywhere. By improving your bottom line, you will learn to focus on your bottlenecks, and like the old saying teaches us, a chain is as strong as its weakest link, but without it, the chain is broken. So remember the old expression.
If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together.
This is just a short intro that is still scratching the surface of a deep and profound system that is changing and shaping the world of the future. We only hope that by raising your awareness on all these, you can start with the right food, and more important, with the right thinking. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.